What's up, travel creators? I'm Laura. Welcome back to another episode. So glad you found your way back here. And today we're going to talk about something that we need to cover. And it is about massive red flags I see when I'm considering working with a content creator or a brand. This episode is going to be a little bit shorter, a little bit sweeter, and potentially a little bit more uncomfortable because I'm about to call out behaviors that might hit a little too close to home. But hey, we're all about getting real here. So grab your coffee, let's dive into red flags that make me think, nope, absolutely not, when I am considering working with someone. So I have been working with travel creators since 2021 or 2022. It's a little fuzzy for me. And I know it hasn't been that long, but I can't specifically remember. And I have seen some shit. Not all collaborations are equal, and frankly, some creators are walking red flag parades that I can spot from a mile away. And before you ask, no, this is not about follower count. Some of the most problematic creators or brands I've encountered have had hundreds of thousands of followers. This is about behavior, it's about mindset, and it's about how they approach doing business. Here's the thing though. 90% of the people I interact with online and have had conversations with are fabulous, fantastic humans. But there is still room and there are still a few that pose red flags. Now, the first red flag you need to look out for, because this episode is not just about calling out what I've seen, it's more educational on what you should be looking out for when you are wanting to work with other creators or brands. The first one is the I just need a person red flag. So I just need you to write my newsletter. I just need someone to write some captions. I just need some help with content ideas. No, we're going to stop right there because if you think content strategy is just anything, you need to understand what you're hiring for. So content, and this is just all going to come from the perspective of like my business, but I hope you can see how you can apply these things to your own content creation business as you scale and grow and reach out to brands and start to work with more. Content isn't something that you slap together. It is strategic, it serves a purpose, and it builds your business. When someone leads with, I just need, they're telling me they see content as a checkbox, not as a business tool. And that means they're going to micromanage everything, question every decision, and probably ask for 17 revisions because they don't actually know what they want. Another red flag is the trend chaser. Now, if you have been hanging out with me for a while, you know that I don't just like to chase trends. Can trends be super helpful? Absolutely. Can creating viral content be super helpful? Absolutely. Can it also be damaging and annoying and hard to bounce back from? Totally. So when someone comes to me and they're like, can you help me go viral? I need content that will blow up. What trending audio should I use? I pause. And I like to say, if your entire content strategy revolves around chasing whatever algorithm trend is going on this week, we're not going to be a match because I help creators build sustainable businesses with evergreen content. I'm not here to help you chase fleeting trends that'll be dead in 2 weeks or less. And if you're still asking about trending audios, you need Content Strategy 101 and not my services. The third red flag is the micromanager. We've all had them. Maybe we've been them. I don't know. These people want to approve every single word before it goes out. And fair, it's your name, it's your brand. I totally get where you're coming from. But they need 3 rounds of revisions for a simple caption. They have just a few tiny changes and completely rewrite everything. If you hire an expert, let them be the expert. If you want to control every comma and semicolon, write it by yourself. I can pretty much tell within one email exchange if someone's going to be a micromanager. It's micromanagers, if you're listening to this, you're easy to spot, my friends. They'll send paragraphs of guidelines about their voice and question every strategic decision. Now, I want people to feel like they have a voice in their content because it's their fucking content and I am just the vehicle in which we're getting this shit done. But there's a difference between that and being a micromanager. The other red flag is the constant postponer. There will always be things that feel like are more important than doing your content. And truthfully, there are. That's what I literally preach. There are more important things to do than write your next Instagram caption. But there are not more important things to do to work on content that you can give to me so you can do those back-end things that require your expertise and your mind. You have to be able to prioritize your own business, because if you don't, nobody else will. And content strategy requires collaboration. So if you're constantly too busy to engage with the process, or constantly responding with like, sorry, I didn't see this, then you're maybe not ready to work with somebody, or you shouldn't be working with that person. And if you aren't able to make time for the things in your business, then I would recommend like reevaluating where you are investing in your business. The other red flag is the price shopper. We've all had them. Maybe we have been them again. So if you find somebody else who can do it cheaper, cool. Go hire that option seriously, because that's what you need right now. I'm not competing on price because I'm not providing a commodity service. I'm providing strategy, expertise, and results. So if you're shopping for the lowest price, then you have a specific value that you're looking for, and you should go and find that value. Ooh, another red flag is the scope creeper. They'll hire you for one thing, and then they'll ask if you can quickly write some Instagram captions, or you can quickly audit their newsletter, or you can quickly do something. Oof. Scope creep is scary. We've all been a part of it. And it exists for a reason. So if you need additional services, awesome, cool. That's something we can talk about. And this is all about like setting boundaries, and definitely something I have gotten better at myself. The other red flag is the emergency creator or brand. I need this by tomorrow. Can you start immediately? This is super urgent. Everything is not an emergency. We work in digital marketing. This is not life-saving material. Content can be planned. If you're constantly in crisis mode, that tells me you don't have the systems, you don't plan ahead. Working with you is going to be chaotic and stressful for both of us, not just me. Another one I see a lot is the vague visionary. This is somebody who says, I want my content to inspire. I want my content to really connect with other people. I want something that feels authentic. I need you to be specific about what you want. Of course, we all want to inspire. The lawyer you work with wants to inspire. The doctor wants to inspire. You want to inspire. Everybody wants it. But I need you to articulate your goals and what you want to accomplish with them and how you need support achieving them. Vague feedback leads to endless revisions and frustration for every single person involved. It also slows shit down. Ooh, another red flag is the platform jumper. So people might be on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, X, YouTube, whatever. But being everywhere also can mean being nowhere just as effectively. So you need to focus on like really honing in where your audience is living in one place before we start transitioning to getting them where you want them on another. The other one is the proven formula believer. I'm all for formulas. I really am. But sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, I saw somebody do X and they got 1 million views. Can we recreate that? There's a formula for XYZ. Can you copy what massive creator is doing and do that for me? Maybe. And I say maybe because what works for a massive creator might not work for you. It just might not, because you might not have the same target audience or the same goals. What works for one might flop for another. So if you want cookie cutter content, you should hire somebody who does that. Here's what all the red flags in common. They signal that someone doesn't understand what they might be hiring you for. They don't respect the expertise you have, and they might not be ready to properly invest in their business. So good collaborations happen when both people understand the value being exchanged and respect each other's expertise. I would like to know if you have experienced any of these red flags when you are reaching out to brands or other creators to work with. I would personally love to know. You can honestly come back to this podcast episode and use it as like a screening tool when you're having like these first conversations and collaborations with brands to see like, are you going to be my person? You're like, not really. So don't waste your time on clients who don't appreciate what you bring to the table. Red flags are just boundary markers. So the sooner you learn to spot them, the better your business relationships will be. If you want more advice like this, you can subscribe to my weekly newsletter called The Content Compass. I'll leave a link below for you in the show notes. I would love to see you there every Tuesday. But until then, stay the heck away from red flags. Happy creating. I'll see you later.